Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Over the last couple weeks, I've been putting out tons of content and videos on the best games of the year. I've done one for specific categories, and just recently I did one for all categories of the year. Now today is the day that we're doing our top 10 of the year, where I'm also gonna, obviously number one is gonna be my game of the year that I have not announced yet. So without further ado, let's get started.
Number 10.
Super Mega Lucky Box. This is designed by Phil Walker Harding, one of my favorite designers. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Super Mega Lucky Box is a simultaneously played flip and write game for 1 to 6 players, where players are going to be marking off numbers and trying to complete cards. The faster they do it, the more points they'll get. But completing rows and columns also give you bonuses like crossing off numbers on other cards of yours, or even getting lightning bolts, allowing you to manipulate numbers in the future. And sometimes you're setting up huge combos like a 9 finishes this column, gets me a 1. Which, I cross this off, gets me any number, which gets me this, which gets me a moon, and if I have the most of these at the end of the game, I'll get an additional 6 points. Or maybe you spend a lightning bolt to change that 2 into a 1, getting you another bonus of 7, allowing you to now complete another row of 5 and continuing the fun. You get new cards each round, but you're trying to complete them as fast as possible, as well as getting as many stars as possible in a round, and trying to have the most moons for 6 most points. Whoever has the most is the winner.
Number 9.
Here we have Witchstone. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Witchstone is a strategy game for 2 to 4 players where each player will have their own cauldron, and they'll be placing hex tiles to do actions and different powers of them depending on how many of the same symbol you can link together. Now in the big cauldron on the board, you're going to be building networks of energy, which are going to score you points as you complete them, but also allowing you to bring witches in and moving them around and putting them in different locations, gaining you different actions and endgame points. But you're also doing that to try to fulfill prophecies and endgame goal cards, like having your witches in certain locations, or having networks to certain locations, or even the amount of witches on the board, getting you a certain amount of points. More and more, the better you do that prophecy. You might also be using wand actions to fly down a track and getting actions and even better versions of them if you're the first one there. Or moving around the pentagram, not only gaining actions that you can use one time for a good power, or using them on your board for multiple uses, or getting the best points as you pass different spots. And whoever does the best job puzzling out their cauldron, getting the prophecies and fulfilling those and getting points throughout the game for the end game goals is gonna be the winner. Yeah, this game is just fantastic in so many ways that I love that Reiner Knizia used his mechanism of selecting actions the same way that you play the tiles in Ingenious, one of his older titles that should have won the Spiel des Jahres, but I think it went up against Ticket to Ride that year. And you're comboing those actions as the more things of that you can put next to each other, the stronger that action is. And each of those actions do totally different things. This is like a point salad that feels like a Stefan Feld game, even though it's a co-designed by Reiner Knizia. And you're trying to combo together these things so you're getting this and then getting that and then getting this. So I get points for this, I get points for that, I get points for this. It's so clever, but driven by that ingenious mechanism is awesome. And you're going off and you're building a network of energy that you're going to be using to bring your witches on the board to go get certain things. And you're setting yourself up to move faster on the board because there's some end game goals that will be getting you things. Or you're getting points for even just finishing those goals. But you can go to the pentagram and get a bunch of extra actions and possibly points. You can race down the wand track and get points. So many things to do here. Tons of, it's just so great. Moving those gems out of the way. This game feels different every time you play it. And there's a decent amount of player interaction where you're trying to like race to certain things, plus get to the board certain things. It plays well with 2. You can play this game in with 2 players in 45 minutes. It is a lot of game for 45 minutes. And then of course it can go up to possibly 90 minutes if you're playing with 4 players. But for this game is just great. It's a medium weight Euro. It has a lot going on, but it's very, very good. Witchstone.
Number 8.
This next one is called Cascadia. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Cascadia is a tile drafting and placement game for 1 to 4 players where you're going to be drafting pairs of tiles and animal tokens, and at the end scoring differently for each of them. For example, grabbing this pair, placing the elk where the elk belongs on one of these, and placing this tile on my board. Noticing, hey, I've got a pair of bears here. Because each pair of bear that's not surrounded by any other bears is going to get me points depending on the amount of pairs I have, and each animal scores in a different fashion, and each animal has multiple cards that you can use in different games for huge replayability. When placing an animal, you might place on a pine cone, getting you one of these, allowing you to spend it to take a token and a different paired tile, which can really help when building up your animals for scoring and hey, getting possibly even another pine cone. And at the end, which will be a lot bigger than this, you get points for not only all the animals, but also whoever has the largest, or sometimes second largest, habitat by the number of tiles. So you're also trying to pay attention to how and where you lay the tiles. And there's also a family variant or intermediate variant to have all the animals score the same way and a much easier way for smaller children. Yeah, this game is absolutely beautiful. Beth Sobel art. I mean, she's becoming, if not already, one of the best artist and most wanted artist in the board game arena. So beautiful, and this game is just such an excellent puzzle. It's so approachable. It's like, take two of these, take a tile and a matching animal, and place it somewhere where it belongs on your board. That's it. But with those simple rules comes a lot of depth, which I love games that have simple rules but tons of depth like this, where you're trying to figure out this puzzle, but you're working on two puzzles at once. You're trying to get the right scoring for the right animals in the right spots, but you're also trying to build up the habitats, because at the end you're getting those points if you have the largest set of the habitats. So it's this interesting thing where you're trying to figure out the best way to do both of these puzzles at once, but it's not always possible. So you're gonna have to make some tough decisions. Ooh, is this better to put here and stay in the lead for this habitat? Or is it better to maybe possibly give that up because I'm gonna put the thing? It's great. It's so simple, it's so deep, it's so beautiful. Each game is different because you're always changing the scoring cards. It's very similar to a game called Calico that was in my top 10 of the year last year, but this is much more easy, breezy, but almost quite as deep as well. If you like tile laying games, oh, this is so fantastic, Cascadia.
Number 7.
This is Enchanted Plumes, and it's from Calliope Games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this is played. Enchanted Plumes is a card game for 2 to 5 players where you're going to be building tableaus of different peacocks with beautiful plumes and trying to score the most points. So you'll be building peacocks with these cards starting with the top row and working your way down, hopefully all the way to the bottom where you complete that peacock. Because at the end of the game, you're going to count up all the positive points except for the top row, which are actually negative, which is why you want low points here. But if you finished it, you also get a bonus 1 point for every card, so you're really trying to complete your peacocks. And you'll be making plenty of them over the course of the game. And after playing 1 or 2 cards, you're going to be drawing and or swapping from your hand with the tab below, which brings in lots of player interaction. Whoever's done the best job building the highest scoring peacocks at the end is going to be the winner. Yeah, as you can see, it's a beautiful game. It's thematic and looking with all these crazy peacocks, and they just look beautiful on the table, especially when they're finished. And it has such an interesting aspect of laying low cards on the top row, but you want the higher points down below it. It's a reverse pyramid. Once you go down, you can't play cards up. You've got to use the same colors, at least one color from before. So if you get sort of stuck and you have to play multiples of the same color, it really limits which colors you can play a little bit further down. You got a little bit of press your luck where you're trying to make a really big peacock, but not too big because those are really hard to score. You're trying to hold cards from other players. You're trying to use the tableau of where you draw the cards, where you're swapping cards as possible temporary storage. This game has a lot in common with a classic, amazing, best 2-player game card game ever, Lost Cities. It's very different from that, but some of the feelings that you get from that in this 2-player game, hoarding the cards that your other player wants, excruciating discarding decisions as to when you don't want to play a card that discard because you know that's the color they're working for, but your hand's full and you kind of need everything. It's so good. It's such a simple game, but it has so many good things to think about. You can go watch my full review of this where I show you all the details and I dive even deeper into why this game's amazing. But if you like classic 2-player card games like Lost Cities and you like tableau building, oof, this is it. This one really took me from surprise. This is a fantastic card game, Enchanted Plumes.
Number 6.
This next one is called Juicy Fruits, brought to us here in North America by Capstone Games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Juicy Fruits is a light family strategy game for 2 to 4 players where you're going to be getting these huge chunky bits of different fruits and doing different things with them. You have your own island and you'll be sliding goods to get certain things like a single banana or maybe even 2 bananas. The further you slide, the more you get. You can spend those goods like a banana and 2 limes to get points like 2, but it also opens up your island. So maybe next time I'll get 3 pomegranates going all the way. Or you can spend goods to get points, getting business licenses, and getting different types of businesses. Some which allow you to get any types of certain goods, plus an additional one. Or maybe you'll get ice cream stands that every time you move them on your board, you can turn in goods for big points. Or maybe you get these huge businesses. They take up a lot of room and constrict your movement, but they get you a lot of points. There's also other types of businesses that help you combo different strategies of the game, and these are different each game. As soon as a certain amount of businesses have been made, the game ends. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Yeah, this game looks awesome on the table. It's absolutely beautiful and vibrant. I love the mechanism of sliding the little thing around to get your goods. And over the course of the game, you're delivering those goods to open up so that your slider can go a little bit further. It almost feels like a little bit of engine building, and it really reminds me of those cool little puzzles when you were a kid where you had these little things and you were sliding them around and you're trying to get the little things open and you're trying to like, hey, how do I get this puzzle to look like a puzzle? And you're just sliding everything around. It reminded me of those. It is such a clever little way to get resources, but then what you do with them is even more impressive, where you're either trying to get those boats off or you're trying to get businesses, and those businesses do different things, give you all different strategies. They're different every game. You can play the advanced version when you're making smoothies. The businesses is so cool. Do you want to make an ice cream stand and get a bunch of points that way? Or do you want to get things that collect better resources? Or do you want to get these big, huge things that clog up your board, but they give you tons of points? This game is just so fantastic. It plays so fast. 4-player game, it's not longer than 40 minutes. 2-player game, it's like a 20-minute game. It's so fast. You'll play it more than once. Chunky bits are awesome. Juicy Fruit, great game.
Number 5.
Now this is a game from designer Bruno Cathala, and it's called Sobek 2 Players. Here's a 1-minute overview of how this game works. Sobek 2 Players is a set collection game where you're going to be collecting different types of goods, but also using special characters for special abilities. And at the end, you're going to be adding up all your different sets, the number of tiles times the number of scarabs, and you're going to be adding numbers of coins that you get from this bag throughout the game. You're going to be collecting tiles by moving the ankh in the direction, but then setting it in the direction that that tile talks about. You can play a character for your turn and do all sorts of cool things, like grabbing any tile in the entire board or getting a bunch from the stack. Or on your turn, maybe you're selling a set and you need at least 3 of them to sell. And if you're a little short, you can use a character that has that type of good as part of that set. But the timing of that selling is important because you get to secretly look at some of these abilities and activate one. And these do all sorts of cool things like taking another turn immediately or adding scarabs to your sets or many more. And you don't even have to take the first tile there. You can take another one that you really want, but you must add all the ones you skipped to your corruption. And corruption's bad because whoever has the most at the end of the game, the other player gets a coin, and they might get more coins if you have a lot more than them. And whoever has the most points from all their different sets plus coins is the winner. Yeah, I love this game from the instant I played it. It has so many things going that I love just about games. Has the this is co-designed by Bruno Cathala. It's also co-designed by the designer Sebastian Pochan, the designer of Jaipur. And it's interesting because this game has, you can feel like it has like the timing of selling like Jaipur does, but it has a lot of sort of like abstract moving that Bruno loves to design in the game. So these two designers have come together using their best tools, and it just makes a beautiful game. You're constantly looking at the board and you're going, oh, if I do this, they'll do this, and that will give me this. And you're thinking 2 or 3 turns ahead. You're trying to figure out what do you want, but what are you setting your opponent up for when you move that ankh and you take that tile? Also, do I want to take this tile for free, or do I want to really take this one and take some corruption, which might be worth negative points? Do I want to try to get a little bit of random pressure luck with trying to get some of those coins? When do I want to sell? Do I want to sell now to get the better special abilities? Or do I want to wait off and try to wait for a bigger set because you need at least 3 of them to sell? There's so many things to think about in this quick game. It's 30 minutes long. That's it. But there's so much tension. There's so many things to think about. So many different ways to skin the cat in this one. There's just so much. There's a ton of depth for how easy this game is to teach and play. The short-term gain versus the long-term planning versus the timing versus saying when that game's going to end or whether it's not. Oh my gosh, this game has so many great things. If you want to see more, go see my full review at Sobek 2 Players.
Number 4.
This next one is a family deduction game called The Key, Murder at the Oakdale Club, brought to us by Haba. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. The Key, Murder at Oakdale Club is a simultaneously played deduction game, family weight, where you're trying to find the 3 murders and who did each one, how did they do it, where did they do it, and how did they get away. Players will be simultaneously rummaging through cards and finding a card that's in the same case color. Maybe you get clues like, this person did not murder with the trophy, and that's something that will help you unlock things a little bit later once you know when this was used or when he murdered. Or maybe you get a card with DNA evidence and you're trying to match those up to see who has that strand and knowing that that person killed with that. Or maybe you find out that this suspect was right here at 1945, meaning they couldn't have killed someone here because it took them 15 minutes if this was done 5 minutes after they were there. So you're using deduction in all different ways in this game. And once you think you've figured it all out, you'll be able to put a key into that number and see if you were right if it came through here, the yellow, or wrong if it didn't. And if more than one player got it right, whoever did it in the smallest amount of time is the winner. Yeah, I love deduction games, as you probably know if you watch my channel at all. This is probably one of the best family weight deduction games out there. There's actually 3 versions of The Key. There's 3 completely separate games. 2 of them with an easy level, one of them, which is this one, with a medium level, and next year they're supposed to come out with one with a hard level. This is so interesting because A, it's simultaneous, B, the deduction is at times simple, but at times thinky too, where you get to decide which cards you want to pull and which things you're trying to figure out. And the way that you figure out some of the things uses deduction in just a different way. It's not always like the spreadsheet logic form that I love so much in deduction games, but you're looking at a map and you're looking at the golf cart and you're going, hey, this person was here at 7:45. It takes 20 minutes to get there. They could not have done murder 2 because they were seen here 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier, and this one was done only 15 minutes after. And it's like, you're doing things like that. You're looking at DNA, little like stripes. It is so fun. Just the clever ways that you get clues and rule things out, and the ways that sometimes you get a bunch of cards, you're like, well, that means nothing to me now, but you unlock one little other card and it starts unlocking like dominoes, all these other cards that you pulled earlier. This means this. Oh, now that unlocks this. Oh, now I can realize I can see this. It is such an amazing little deduction game. The whole system's awesome, called The Key. By the way, this is designed by the person, Thomas Singh, who designed The Crew, the most popular cooperative game last year, some people's favorite game of the year last year. He designed this new system for deduction games. Don't sleep on this one. The Key, Murder at Oakdale Club.
Number 3.
Number 2 is another deduction game. This is called Picture Perfect from Arcane Wonders. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Picture Perfect is the deduction game for 2 to 4 players where you're trying to make that perfect picture. And throughout the game, you'll be secretly learning where each character wants to be, like standing next to the dog. At the beginning, you'll be going through multiple characters' envelopes, learning what each of them want, and trying to see how many you can fulfill. But as the game goes on, some of those will go away to other players, and you'll be getting new ones to give you new information. Plus, you can have an advanced variant to try to auction off certain envelopes that you want to learn info on. And at the end, you take a final picture trying to fulfill as many of the requests as possible. Getting as many as 6 points if you fulfill all 3, or minus 3 points if you don't get any of them. And you don't even have to place guess if you're not really sure what they want. And you'll even need to hide faces of some like that maid in the back row there. So let's see how many of these guest requests you can fulfill. Yeah, this game is just so fresh and unique, and it's just a breath of fresh air. The way that, even just the theme, hey, let's get everyone together and get like a family photo or a group photo. Well, what happens in those things? Well, I want to stand over here. No, I want to stand over there. No, I want to be in the front. No, I want you to wear this. No, everybody do this. You have everyone has lived through this. And now you're the photographer trying to look through what everybody wants, and you're trying to position them, and you can't make everyone happy. So you have to decide which ones you're going to make happy for the most points. And also, you're getting different information at different times. You're also trying to make one a VIP because you know you're going to get that one perfect. There's a little bit of a memory element, but you can use the different pieces as like reminders as to like, hey, this person doesn't want to stand next to a female. So I can put these pieces like this, put these ones backwards. Okay, they don't want to stand next to a female. This one wants to be in the back row. This one wants to be in the front. This one wants to block this one's face. This one doesn't want to be seen at all. Like, it's like, It's just so clever. It's so awesome. It has an advanced variant with the auction if you want to take it to a different level. But this game is just absolutely just so fun. This goes over so well with just people that don't play games and gamer enthusiasts as well. Picture perfect.
Number 2.
This is Renature, and this is brought to us by Capstone Games. This is a game that came out earlier this year. I know BGG says it's a 2020, but the pre-orders didn't even start showing up till January here. So Renature from Capstone Games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Renature is a beautiful domino laying game where you're going to be placing dominoes and matching animals when you do that, and possibly placing plants in areas that are beside where you've placed. And you'll be placing different plants that have different heights that give you more and more power. Because these plants will give you points when you place them for plants of equal or lesser size, and when these areas are completely surrounded, not diagonal, you'll score. The higher points for the higher power and the lower for the lower, but the one that closes it gets an endgame point as well. And certain animals are wild, giving you more flexibility and being able to place any animal next to them. But players can be sneaky because they all have neutral pieces, and if they tie, they're not considered there, so you can cause other players, including you, to score and swoop in and get the big points. And in this case, if you're all alone, you get all the points. And you can spend clouds, which can do cool things like change the wild animal, or take another turn, or take back some of the pieces that you've placed earlier. Once the dominoes run out, you'll have some secret endgame scoring, and whoever has the most is the winner. I love it when games in the modern era by master designers use mechanisms that are common to all of us or have been like past classics, like dominoes. In this game, you're basically playing dominoes with a twist, with beautiful animals on the dominoes, but it's so simple. Play a domino, possibly place a tree. But even with how simple that is, oh my gosh, there are some tough decisions in this game. If you're gonna place a tree, where are you gonna place it? If you're gonna place it there, I might wanna use this one. If I wanna place it there, I wanna use this one. A lot of this has the timing to it. Plus, it's also like, oh, I'm gonna place here and I'm gonna place a neutral tree to totally screw over somebody else and make it so that they're not even there, they can't score. The whole aspect of if someone's tied when they're scoring, there is thought to not be there. That was used in like Las Vegas, for example, a really popular game, and it works so well that the nuances of this game and the timing of when you place something where, this game is an in-your-face, confrontational game. This is a little meaner than most family games I'd put on a list, but it's not quite heavy enough to be like a strategy game. It's kind of in the middle there. But this was a game that came out so early, and for most of the year, this was the best game running. I still really love this game. It's just so clever, and there's a lot of nuances to this game where the mechanisms are simple, but man, there's so much depth here. If you don't like mean, confrontational, I'm gonna screw you over, you thought you were gonna get points, I just took them from you by doing something clever that you didn't see coming, and then this isn't gonna be the game for you. But if you like sort of that aspect of being right in players' faces and really fighting over areas and area control, but you want to look like and feel like a classic, but also have some very tough decisions to make, oh man, this is it. Renature.
Number 1.
Now, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, this is probably going to be the best game that you've never heard of. Now, if you have subscribed, then you probably saw my review of this somewhat recently in the last month or so, because I glowed over it. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now so you don't miss out on some of these great games in the future. My game of the year is one that took me from surprise. It was a smaller Kickstarter game called Magnate First City. Now let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Magnate the First City is an economic city building game where you're trying to have the most money in the win. You keep it hidden in the envelope here, and it has a really cool first player marker, that truck. So in this game, you're going to be buying land, buying buildings, attracting tenants, making money, selling buildings, and doing it over again and trying to time the market right. And there's all sorts of different tenants to attract in different segments, like commercial for law firms and call centers, or residential, retail, or industry. And they give you a different amount of money for rent, but they also help influence other types of buildings that are close to it, and it's all very thematic. But then building a big apartment building attracts some professional couple, which actually will help out retail because they want to shop close by. Everything is interconnected. But each round, depending on what's been happening in the economy, you might be moving the crash track down, and if this ever gets to 0, well, the game will end and there's a big crash, so you try to find the right time to sell things before the crash ends. From the moment I played this game, I was just immediately immersed in it. I like economic games, and I love sort of medium weight strategy games. This is a longer one. This is sort of a 2 to 2.5 hour game. With the larger player counts. You could actually play a game in less than an hour, 2 players if you both know what you're doing. But generally speaking, this is going to be a larger, longer game, and this is the heaviest game of all the games on this list. But the thing that makes this game so great is the thematics of this and how everything is tied together. You're trying to go off and buy land in the right spots that are in good spots to help you out, and you're going to go put something there. And then based on the tenant that you get for that thing, it's going to affect everybody else, including you and all other players and everything that's around there. So you're always watching what other players are doing, because every time somebody does something in this game, it's affecting you. And it's affecting what you're doing. You might go put a chemical plant in the middle of everybody's thing, so it's bringing everything down. Or you might bring in a family that raises up, say retail, which, hey, you might be able to build up your own little engine in that corner, but somebody else might go, oh, you just put that there? Ooh, they just raised up retail right there, which over there also, that one has a retail bonus. I'm going to build there. So it's like everything is so intertwined. Everything is so thematic in this game. It's like, oh, if you're trying to gather these types of tenants, well, thematically speaking, if you want to have retail, well, the more tenants you have, the more people that are around that area, the more dice you're going to be able to roll. And the better you roll, the better you do, but you get to advertise and work that out. It's like, oh man, this game just had so many amazing things in this that just link together. So the biggest thing is player interaction. The economy of this game with the player interaction is what makes this game sing. And because of that, every single game that I've played of this feels different. Because you have a randomized setup, because even if you play with the same setup every game with the same players, the way that the tenants come out and you play with them and place them would change the game. But you add into that a randomized setup, you add into that different players, you add into that the different way that the tenants come out and where players build things, and every game is a different puzzle, but everything is so linked to each other. It is so good. It is just amazing. Also, towards the end of the game, you have this sort of rush to try to figure out when to sell before the bust. And that alone is awesome too, because it's like some games I've seen it where like it rushes really fast towards the end and you've got to quickly sell, where other games you have like it doesn't move and the game goes a little bit longer than normal, but then at some point it's going to sort of come. I've had other games where it's sort of a little bit in between. And you're trying to find the right time to sell, because if you can hold out one additional round and not sell and it doesn't crash, you've got a good chance of winning. But if it does crash and you didn't sell a bunch of your properties, you're probably not going to win. But like the breakdown of the cards and how many there are out there and how many have come out and things like that, you have some information there. But this game it's blown me away. I have taught this game to so many different groups. I've yet to see someone not like it. Everyone that I play it with really enjoys it. Most people have bought it. And I gotta tell you, this thing has legs. I think this is still gonna be a game that I'm talking about and playing forever because it's so good and there's so much depth. And I just recently did my top 10 games the top 100 games of all time. And in that top 10, my favorite economic game was Power Grid. And I can see with more plays over more years, this eclipsing Power Grid of being in my top 10 of all time and being my favorite economic game of all time. That's how highly I think of this game. You've got to be okay with a little bit of randomness, but you can mitigate things, but it's the interactions with the players and the thematic aspects of that makes this game of the year. Magnate for City. All right, there you have it. Top 10 of the year for 2021. If you want to make sure you see my videos in the future, go ahead and subscribe below. If you've liked this, go ahead and like that as well. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games by helping you on the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.